Okay, so got everything turned on. I better put that over here because it bites terrible on the right side. So let me move this over here. I'm partial to elimination, so I'm going to use elimination. And why else would I use elimination? Because I have opposite what? Opposite signs, Hubert. That's right, class. Thanks for the interaction. Not so much for this. Let's do shrunk. So 2x minus 3y is equal to 2, and negative 4x plus 6y is equal to negative 4. So I'm going to multiply the top by what? 2. And that's going to give me a 4x, a negative what? 2 is equal to 4. Add it, and you're going to get 0x, or that goes out. And what does this go out to? 0, and this goes to 0, so 0 is equal to 0. This is a true statement or a false statement? True. If you have a true statement, and if you can spell true correctly, if it comes out to be true, then your answer is what? All real numbers. In other words, plug in 1. If you plug in 1 for x and 1 for y, you will get negative, or you'll get positive 2 right here. If you plug in 1 for x and 1 for y, you're going to get negative 4. You can plug in any number you want for x and y, and it'll come out to be true. That's when you get 0 is equal to 0, or 4 is equal to 4, or y is equal to y. If you come out with a true statement, it comes out to be all real numbers. If you come out with a false statement, 105 is equal to 2, and you've done the correct math, if you come out with something untrue, then it's no solution. Okay, so in this question, I can't find my cursor. Y'all see? Okay. Am I supposed to have a heart attack now? And say, oh my God, where's my sign? You don't say a sign up there. I'm supposed to have a heart attack. Yeah. Oh, okay. What? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to and rant and rave. I bet y'all got some teachers like that. Which one is all real numbers? B. The solution set. There is no solution set. It's all real numbers. Negative infinity and positive infinity. I ain't going to answer that. It's all real numbers. Huh?
If you follow the example,
what does it tell you to do?
It's supposed to be like 2 plus 3y over 2, and then comma 1.
All I want is this. B. I want infinite solutions, real numbers. So I don't know what they want. They want you to solve for y, I guess.
Yeah.
Which, okay, heck with it. I'm not going to worry about it. I ain't going to pick one that's going to ask that. If I do, then I'll give the points to you. Please let this one not be it. Multiply. I want a regular old problem, just all right, try this one. And after this one, we'll go back into our solving system, matrices. Yeah, just come in whenever, that's fine. Hope you had a good lunch, good rest time. That's fine. We all just been here since 11 o'clock, that's all. Well, after you sit there and stare at it for 15 minutes, you should realize that in order to do the elimination method, you need to put all the X's and Y's on one side. Now, some of you said, well, I should use substitution on this because Y is solved for Y. I mean, it's already solved for Y. And yes, that's true, but I like to use the elimination method. So I'll do both. Okay? Because you'll go complain no matter what. So multiply the bottom or the top by what? Well, take your pick. Now, keep it simple. Huh? What? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to go quadratic on y'all. Sorry. There we go. And that x squared is going to have to be by itself. So you want to use substitution. That changes a whole lot.
And that x squared is negative.
Huh?
The x squared on top.
Yeah, but when you bring it over, it's positive. So yeah, we want to use substitution on this one. We could use, yeah, we don't want to use elimination. So I'm going to erase this and leave it back the way it was. So y is equal to negative x squared plus 5. And I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter and I'm going to highlight this area right here because that is what? Y. And since that's equal to y, I'm going to plug it in right here. And that's going to give me 4x plus parentheses, because Hubert always puts a big set of parentheses whenever he does his substitution, equals 0. And negative x squared plus 5 goes in the parentheses. I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter again. After I watched that movie last night, I changed it to another movie. The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. Anybody ever seen that?
Yes.
It's weird. Yeah. No, it's not.
Have you ever seen American Beauty?
Mm-hmm.
You watched it in experience movies.
See, that gets me. These other subjects, y'all get to watch movies all the time. I watch a commercial and somebody will turn me in for having videos in class.
Can you give us a suggestion on your goalies for
I'm kidding. On what?
my goalies?
Did you watch it? Did you watch
I
it?
have. It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's a good movie.
I've seen just about all of its movies and everything.
I love Stephen King. All right. You know, he actually wrote Christine. Love Christine. Some of y'all have no earthly idea what I'm talking about. It's your parents' fault. Minus x squared plus 5 is equal to 0. I can't believe they gave y'all quadratic with this one. Now we got to use complete the square. So negative x squared plus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0. Seems out of place. They want the answer, or they just want you to plug it in? Yeah. All right. Negative x squared This is a good one to put on the final. Plus 4x plus blank is equal to negative 5 plus blank. Factor out a negative 1. X squared minus 4x plus blank is equal to negative 5 that's supposed to be a blank, not a 1. Why would it be a negative 1, but anyway, plus negative 1 times blank. It's not supposed to be. Well, that's because I have to blow everything up. Because y'all, you know what about? I can't say. The back of the room. In any class. It doesn't matter who sits in the back. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about you. All my classes, the ones that sit on the back row are the ones that are blind as bat. And they're the ones that complain. I can't say. Or they sit over there in that farthest corner over there. I can't say. Well, yeah, you're looking at about a 30-degree angle. You need to move. Anyway, I'm sorry. I knew she was. I figured she was. X squared minus, he gonna get you in trouble. Minus 4x. What's half of 4? 2 squared? 4. Negative 5. What's negative 1 times 4? Negative what? Negative 4. And that 4 goes right there. Is that a negative 5? That is a negative 5, isn't it? Yeah. Making sure. All right, negative 1, can't read my own writing. X minus 2, and the reason I'm writing with the mouse so I don't go fast, over, or squared, is equal to negative 9. Now you just need to solve it for the x-intercepts. I think that's what they're wanting. Can't believe they did this. I wouldn't have done this. So x minus 2, quantity squared, is equal to what? Positive 9. Take the square root of both sides. Get x minus 2 is equal to positive or negative what? Positive or negative 3, Hubert. That's right, class. Thank you for the interaction. So, positive or negative 3 plus 2. So what's 3 plus 2? 5. And what's negative 3 plus 2? Negative 1. So your x-intercepts are negative 1 and what? Positive 5. I'm not going to do that one. We're not going to do that one on the test. Not this test. Might be a good final exam. We're not going to do nonlinears. Okay, here's one. Don't do it by graphing. Do it by elimination or substitution. Let me blow it up. Ignore the directions. Do it by substitution or elimination. And then we'll Yeah, I would say the Saint probably cost about $5 more than it took to do Napoleon Dynamite. Which I love Napoleon Dynamite. I could watch that movie over and over and over. I love it. Uncle Rico was a pervert, but other than that,
They could just go back in time, man.
I throw that ball quarter mile. Here, watch this. Wow. And why they eat steak all the time? All they eat is steak. I mean,
They're like sitting on the porch and gonna run down now and eat a steak.
that's about that thin. Weird. It's a good movie. Love it. Oh, and the bike when he tries to jump the ramp. It's hilarious. He got 3.5 inches of hair that time. There's a spider web on his afro. In the movie, there's a spider web. I watch for stuff like that.
It's like blowing in the wind.
Yeah. But Uncle Rico was in another movie called The Astronaut Farmer. He was one of the FBI agents. So we done made her mad. She's leaving. You ever seen The Astronaut Farmer? With Billy Bob Thornton. He builds a rocket in the middle of nowhere, puts it in his barn, takes off. No, the kid actually, the guy, his kid is the actual guy that runs control. And Uncle Rico is an FBI agent. He said, you ought to keep that cup. It's a good souvenir. And it's a black cup. It ain't got anything on it. Uncle Rico. A dagging band down by the river. Ugh. Classic movie. But you know, people that watch Napoleon Dynamite, there's either two people in the room. Either a person is rolling over laughing, which I am, or somebody's sitting there going, "This is the most retarded video ever." Movie's so retarded. You don't like it, you can leave Napoleon. The Time Machine was classic.
I think the part with the llama was the best.
No, the Time Machine was the funniest. Turn it off! Turn it off! This thing doesn't work. It's a piece of crap. I could have told you that. All right, I'll shut up. I need to have my own movie show, reviewing movies. Yeah, start doing it. What? Yeah. 5 minutes I'd be. You were one of my students called and said you were doing movies for the final. We can't do that. What? No, that's to show that I have somebody. There's always one. There's always one. Multiply through by what? -2 or 2, sorry. Now the reason I picked 2 was because the opposite what? Opposite signs. So 2x plus 2y is equal to -4. Add. That's 3x. Finally, something works right. 10 minus 4 is 6. X is equal to what? And then back substitute. I would probably back substitute in this one. Get 0. So x is 2 and 0. Now that's the type I'll give you on the test. That comes out to be like this. Okay? I'm not going to give you anything crazy like the first 2 I did. Question? Right, complaint. All right, now let's go back to matrices. So I can make y'all more confused. That's what you come for, right? Be confused. All right, let's take that last problem we just did. Somebody tell me what it said, 2x plus what?
It was X plus Y.
X plus y.
Equals negative 2.
Okay. X plus y,
Equals negative 2.
and the other one
X minus 2y equals 10.
equals 10. So write it as a matrix. So that would be 1, 1, because these two, that's a 1, and that's a 1, and that's a 1. Negative 2, 1, negative 2, and 10. Here's your matrix. Now, in the identity matrix looks like this. That's not what it looks like. Oh, God. Hold on a minute. Let me get my screen back down to where I can do something. I'm not blowing it up no more. You can't see? I'm sorry. Getting tired of doing this. It's old. I do what? I know. That's why I do the video, so you can decipher what I write on the board. Okay, so the matrix, the matrix that I was fixing to talk about, there. I'm going to do it a different color. The matrix we want looks like this. Do you care what these numbers are? No, because that's your answer. But you want to manipulate the left side to look like this. You might want to highlight that because you need to know that's different. That's when that's your goal. So, we got a 1 right here. We got a 1 right there, so we're good there. I would want to take a red marker. This is the way you want to go as far as changing like a U. You want to go here, then you want to change this one, then you want to change this one, then you want to change that one. So, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the 1, and it's okay. So I'm going to leave it alone. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I'm going to change this. I got to change this to a 0. So I've got to use that to add to that to get it to be a 0. So what I do is I say, okay, I'm going to take row 1, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 1. I'm going to add it to row 2 to get new row 2. Now you're not going to see any of this notation in any book because this is Hubert notation. This is what I used when I was at Clemson, my first linear algebra class, first time I'd ever seen a matrix. They were doing all this crazy stuff, and I said, well, I don't want to do it that way, so I started doing it this way. Of course, the professor had a fit and fell in it and marked my problems wrong, but every one of the problems I got wrong, the answer was what? Correct. So it works. It's just different notation is all it is. So I'm going to take row 1, and I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So there's negative 1, 1. or sorry, -1. And then -1 times -2 is +2. Take my row 2, 1, -2, and 10, and add them. -1, hey, there's our 0. -1 times 3, and 2 plus 10 is, so that's my new what? Row 2. So now I rewrite my matrix. 1, 1, -2, and put in my new row 2, 0, -3, and 12. And there's my new matrix. Take a minute, let that sink in. And then, what are we going to target next? The -3. What do I want the -3 to be? A 1. So if you want to go ahead and try it, go ahead and try it, or just meditate. Anybody have a question on what I did? I wanted to get a 0 right here. The only one I can use is this row right here. I can't use this row to get a 0. You can't do that. So you have to use row 1. So I used it, -1, multiplied by -1. Where else have we seen the opposite signs? Elimination. You're using parts of elimination to do this problem. So, -1, -1, +2. And I take my row 2 and I add row 2 to row 1, my row 1 multiplied by -1, and I get new row 2. And I put it right here. Now, how do I get a 1 right here? Divide row 2 by what? Divide row 2 by -3. And you can do that in your head. Unless there's some kind of drug addiction or something. You should be able to do it in your head. So now I've got 1, 1, -2. And what's our new row 2? 0 divided by 3 is 0. -3 divided by -3 is 1. And 12 divided by -3 is, there's our new matrix. Got 1 left. Which one? Right here, we got to focus on it now. We want a 0 there. So in order to get a 0 here, we got to use row 2 and add it to row 1. So do that. So I'm going to take row 2 and multiply by -1. Add it to row 1 to get new row what? New row 1. So row 2 times -1 is 0. -1 times -1, or 1 is -1. -1 times -4 is 4. Now I'm going to add 1, 1, and -2. 0 plus 1 is 1. -1 plus 1, hey, there's our 0. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So now our final matrix is 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, -4. Now it looks like to me that x is equal to 2 and y is equal to, just to refresh my memory, what did we get in the last problem? 2, -4. That's how you do a matrix. Let's do nerding. Make one up for you. What'd you say? This is what?
Killing trees.
Killing trees. I'm not. I'm killing virtual trees. Save the planet. Wear a sandal. Hug a tree. 2x minus 3y is equal to 6. And 4x. No questions. I'm not answering questions right now. Yes, sir.
How do you know you have to use the matrix mostly?
Well, people use it as a preference.
Really?
Or it'll say
So like we could do any of the
you could do any of the three. If it just says solve, then you can use any of the three. Unless it specifies, yeah.
You're putting these on the final?
4x, yeah. 4x plus 2y is equal to 8. Actually, last test too. Not that hard, you're not used to it. You gotta get used to it. After about the third problem, you're gonna go, okay, I see what we're doing. Unless you want to be redneck about it and go, I don't know what this stuff. This is stupid. I don't think I got anybody in here like that. What? Okay, everybody make a matrix. You should be able to make a matrix. 2, -3, 6, 4, 2, and 8. And this is the basics for your phone, for your calculator, for your computer. That's the language it's written in. This is binary code, linear programming. You can't have programming if you don't have linear programming. Oh gosh, we don't have a 1. But how do you get a 1 in that top left-hand corner? Divide row 1 by what? 2. Divide row 1 by 2. Whatever this number is right here, if it's not a 1, you're going to divide. The first step you're going to do is divide that number through all the way through. Because you got to have a 1 here to get started. And the only way to get a 1 is to divide by what? Itself. That's called first, second grade math. Divide 2 by 1. Divide 2 by 2, you get 1. But if you do it to 1, you got to do it all the way what? Through the equation. Mm-hmm.
So then, when you said that it was like 1, 0, and then
1, 0, 1, 0. Mm-hmm.
it's always that.
That's what you want at the end of the problem.
That's all of what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Because when you're done, 1x is equal to a number, and 1y is equal to a number. Oh, you see it now? So I'm going to divide row 1 by what? 2. And that'll give me a 1, negative 3 halves. And at that point, you all should what? When you see that 3 halves, you all should quit. Good. Because heaven forbid we try to challenge ourselves, right? That's what Japan and China does. We don't want to do that here. 4, negative 2, or 2, sorry, and 8. I'm sorry, 6 divided by 12. Where's divided by 2 is 3. I was thinking that was 12. I'm sorry. I can't read my own writing. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Thank you. Okay, so we got our 1. Now we got to get rid of the 4. So we got to multiply row 1 by negative 4 and add it to row 2. And when we do that, we get new what? New row 2. So what's row 1 multiplied by negative 4? Well, negative 4. Positive 12 over 2, which is 6. And negative 4 times 3 is what? Negative 12. Add it to row 2. And what's negative 4 plus 4? Here's our 0. And 8. And negative 12 plus 8 is negative what? 4? So now we got a matrix. 1, negative 3 halves, and 3, 0, 8, and negative 4. Now what do you want? You want the 8 to turn into a what? A 1. Now the 1, the top left and the bottom right are the easiest ones. So all you got to do is divide by whatever number is there. So what am I going to divide row 2 by? Huh? Everybody should say 8 because that's the number that's there. So row 2 divided by 8. And that's going to give us 1, negative 3 halves, and 3, 0, 1. And what's negative 4 divided by 8? Negative 1/2, Hubert. Thank you, class. Y'all notice what kind of math we're doing here? Elementary math. All right, now do the last one. We got to get negative 3 halves equal to 0. You got to use row 2 to do it. So what's the opposite of negative 3 halves? 3 halves. So you're going to multiply row 2 by 3 halves and add it to row 1. So I'm going to take row 1, I'm sorry, row 2, multiply by 3/2, add it to row 1, you get new row 1. You see a pattern? I do. Top left and the top and the bottom right, you divide through by whatever number's there. And then you use those ones and you multiply by the inverse to get the other. What's the inverse of negative 3/2? 3/2. That's what you do every single time. So, row 1 multiplied by, or row 2 multiplied by 0 times 3/2 is 0. 24/2 is what? 12. And 12/2 is what? 6. And add row 1. I'm sorry, I messed up. Row 2. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't look at this matrix. I looked at this matrix. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't use that as a scapegoat. I just looked at the wrong one. Don't sit there and go, oh no, I'm really, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Okay? There's what you're going to do right there. Row 2 multiplied by 3/2. I looked at the wrong row 2. I looked at this one. You're supposed to look at this one. Okay? 0. 1 times 3/2 is 3/2. And negative 1/2 times negative 3/2 is negative. 1 times 3 is 3. And 2 times 2 is what? 4. You're using basic math. Row 1 is 1, negative 3/2, and 3 over 1. And what happens to the 3/2? Turns into 0. Here you got to get a common denominator. That's going to be 4, and that's going to be what? 12. Negative 3 plus 12 is what? 9. Be 9/4. So our final matrix is 1, 0, 9/4, 0, 1, negative 1/2. So our point of intersection is 9/4, comma what? Negative 1/2. And of course, how can you check these? Substitution, elimination, or graphing. Go back up here and do either one of the 3. See if your numbers match up. Well, let's do another one. Go with x minus 3y is equal to 6. And 4x plus 2y is equal to 8. All right, let's see how far you can get. Y'all should be able to at least draw a matrix. And I started you off early. I started you off easy because you got a 1 in the top left-hand corner. So you don't have to do that one. What do you got to get rid of? A 4. What's the inverse of 4? So you're going to multiply something by negative 4. There's only one other row you can use. So if I want to get rid of something in row 2, what's the only other row I can use? Row 1. So you're going to multiply row 1 by -4 and add it to row 2 to get new row 2. What'd you say? See? It's doable. So I'm going to take row 1, multiply by -4, add it to row 2 to get new row 2. Now you think some of y'all are having a problem now? What if you didn't have Hubertism's notation right here? Y'all would be totally lost. You ought to see some of these guys at Clemson teach us stuff. You'd be lobotomized. So row 1 times -4, that's -4. -4 times -3 is 12. -4 times 6 is negative what? Row 2 is 4, 2, and 8. Then you get 0, 14, and I have no idea. 16, -16. So now our new matrix is 1, -3, 6, 0, 14, -16. Now which number to concentrate on now? Okay, how is the only way to get a 1 from a number 14? Divide the whole row by 14. You can do that in your head or you can write it out. But I'd put something in my notes to remember what to do. I'm going to put a red divide by 14, so that's what I'm doing it in my head. And our new matrix is 1, -3, 6, 0, 1, and negative what, 8/7? Y'all check my math. Only got one more to get rid of. And what's the only row you can use to get rid of the -3? Row 2. Or just erase it. Just erase the -3. Put a 0 there. That's what I used to do. My answers were always wrong. Yep. Flipped over the desk in Pickens 122. Got mad. So, row 2 multiplied by 3. Add it to row 1. And that'll give me new row 1. So row 2 is 0 times 3 is 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 8/7 is -24/7. Now I'm going to add 1, -3, and 42/7. Got to get a common denominator. 42 divided by 7 is 6. You get 1, 0, -24 plus 42 is what? I have no idea. It's over 7. Somebody do that on your calculator because I can't subtract very well. What? It's 18 or 28 or something like that, isn't it? I don't know. 42 minus 24 is, let's see, be 18? Okay, so I did have it at 18. So now your new matrix is 1, 0, 18 over 7. And 0, 1, and negative 8/7. It's the same method every single time. Let's pull up a homework problem. Let's do another one. And I'll tell you what I want you to do to prepare for the test is do problems for this part of the test. Do problems like this that say solve the system by graphing, substitution, or elimination. Just do those type problems, and that'll be sufficient for the test that I give you. Starts Tuesday or whatever. Yeah. Okay, not that. Let me find you one. Just ignore the graphing or substitution or elimination. There's one. Now that one by substitution, but you can easily bring the 4x over and we can do that one. But some of these are so stupid because they make them all reals, and I'm trying to find one that's not. Okay. You possibly could do that one. Go ahead and do this one. 6x minus y is equal to 33. X plus 3y is equal to 15. So let's make a matrix and let's see what it gives us, because I have no idea. It might give us another no solution or all real numbers. I don't think so, because the slope is not equal, so I don't think it's going to be all reals.
So you want us to solve this with the matrix?
Hmm?
You want us to solve this with the matrix?
I hear you.
You want us to
Yeah, matrix. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a hint. Is there any law of gravity or anything that says that x plus 3y is equal to 15 has to be on the bottom? No, it doesn't. And what's the coefficient of that x? 1. So we could save ourselves a step. Kind of like putting a ladder on the back of a truck. It's easier to get in the back of a truck. You put a ladder up to it. Well, if you flip this guy, you don't have to do another step. It's called using your head. One, 3, 15, 6, -1, 33. So, tell me this. You flip it, and you got a 1 in the top left-hand corner. What do you got to get next? A 0 in where the 6 is. What's the only row you can use to get rid of that 6? Row 1. So you're going to multiply row 1 by -6, add it to row 2. So row 1 multiplied by -6. That's going to give me a -6 and a -18 and a negative BA number. So let's go ahead and take row 1 multiplied by -6. That's going to give us -6, -18, and 6 times, what is it, 90? Add it to row 2. That'll give me 6, -1, 33. That'll give me a 0, -19, and I have no idea. -57, 50, what is it?
-57.
-57? I ain't got it right. Now, can we combine 2 steps right here? Yes. What do we want right here when we put that back in the matrix? A 1. So I could divide by what? -19. And that'll give me a 0, a 1, and dang old 3. Y'all check me. So now my new matrix is, and I'm going to put it right here because I did skip a step. And you can put the other matrix right here if you want to. I'm not going to. 1, 3, 15. And my new matrix, after 2 steps, is 0, 1, and 3. So you can put 19 and -57. You can put it in this matrix. I'll look. Yeah, but it's divided by -19. Negative divided by negative. Now, what's the only, we got to get rid of 3. What's the only row we can use to get rid of 3? Row 2. So row 2 multiplied by -3. Add it to row 1. Gives you new row 1. You see the same continuous step, the same method every single time. So, row 2 times -3. -3, I meant 0, -3, -9. 0, -3, -9. And we're going to add that to row 1, which is 1, 3, 15. Now to give us 1, 0, and 6. So our new row 1 is 1, 0, 6, and 0, 1, 3. So that means x is equal to what? X is equal to 6, and y is equal to what? So let's check it. Hang on, 6, 3. You have to put parentheses. 6, 3. Well done. Now see, this problem right here, This is see the way this problem's written? This is the ones I want you to do in homework. I'll give you the points on the other ones. Don't worry about that. I want you to do 3 or 4 of these problems. 6x minus y. The x and y's are all lined up and everything's lined up. And how many problems can you do with this one problem? 4. Graphing, substitution, elimination, and matrices. So all you got to do is 3 of these homework problems 4 times, and you're ready for the test Tuesday. Okay? Now, each time you do a matrix, you should be saying to yourself, this is getting easier. This is getting easier. Because you're doing the same method over and over and over. Unless you're going to be redneck and say, this is stupid, I ain't going to do it. I quit. I want to live in the ditch.